Hi, welcome to Blood Testimonies. I'm Yochanan, your host. Thank you for joining me this evening on this wonderful Erev Shabbat Friday evening. On this show, I travel all around the states. I go and I meet people that keep Sabbath, that keep the holy days, described in Leviticus 23, minus the sacrifices. And I'm looking for those that want to share their experience, strength, and hope, like I'm going to do with you tonight, but with Devarim Elohim, the Word of God, as an anchor, as a reference, as the hope, as I share my experience, strength, and hope. Quick disclaimer, if there are little ones around, this is not going to be for them. I'm going to be talking about really vulnerable things. I'm going to be talking about physical and sexual abuse, drug and alcohol, adult content relationships, things that are in teenagers. Actually, I recommend them watching this, especially the next episode with Grandpa Stankins. He's fun. Why in the heck am I going to share my experience, strength, and hope with a bunch of strangers? A bunch of people have no clue who you are. And oh my goodness, the people that I do know, they're going to laugh at you! They're all going to laugh at them! Yeah, voices, you don't want to share that information. They can use it against you. And I doubt it. There ain't nothing I'm going to share here that I ain't willing to face a firing squad for, or I already have, let's put it that way. The purpose of me sharing this with you guys is that I have, even though gone through Hades, I have gone through a lot of trial and tribulations, and not as bad and as worse as some. This is not about comparison, better or worse. I just want to share different events in my life that molded and shaped me into an adult that did not show up well, and what that did to me and others, and how I got here, and what Blood Testimonies ministry is about. It's about those who were like me, brokenhearted, broken in spirit, in poverty most of my life, physically disabled. We're the ones, guys, that the principalities of the air, the dark energy, the negative vibes like to attack us vulnerable people. Not to play the victim. We're just easy target and low-hanging fruit for the enemy out there. And that's why in the ancient land of Israel, about tithes and offering, it was designed to meet the needs of the brokenhearted and broken spirit, combined, not just bringing finances to them and helping them out, but feeding them Devarim Elohim, the words of God. My rabbi, Yeshua, says, don't just go ahead and feed somebody and give them clothes and say, be warm and be well and send them on their way. No. During the Moedims, the feasts, millions of people would show up and anticipating to hearing what the Creator was going to speak into their lives so that a change can happen. They can go back home changed. And I'm changed, guys. I'm changed. The little trailer before this episode talks about how I was a stand-up comic, photographer, actor, producer, filmmaker, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, and I left it all behind. I'm going to just share a quick story. The last big set I worked on was the last Matrix 4. I was disappointed in that movie, sorry, but it was fun being on. We spent a week in San Francisco. And let me tell you something, that gig, I was a background actor. I didn't have any lines. I did have 2 days where I got, oh goodness, a SAG card, I think it was. I forget what they call them. There's a certain amount of these certificates, whatever you want to call them. And if you get 3 of them, you can join the union, join SAG, and get paid higher gigs, higher jobs, and on all this other stuff. It's for a serious actor, it's the next level up for most. So yeah, so I'm getting paid, what was it? $250 a day on those SAG vouchers. Otherwise, I think it was at least 175 around there a day. And I'm back to one. I'm on my mark, getting ready to chase cars, and there's a guy just in eye shot taking a dump on the sidewalk, a homeless guy, and I'm like, this is not right, man. I got this gig here that is easy. I'm getting paid well. I'm sure in heck getting fed well. Oh man, if you're SAG, you know what I'm talking about. You get first dibs on the goods. Yeah, you get to, I mean, not quite be there as a principal actor, but dang it. And principal actors, not just what they make and earn on top of how they eat and are treated, it's just, you think we were royalty or something. But anyways, I had to walk away from all that because it just, seeing somebody like that, a homeless guy, and here we are spending millions and millions of dollars on this movie and not taking care of people in our own backyard. It didn't sit right with me that day, and it still doesn't. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. Back to the experience, strength, and hope part. I'm hoping somebody might identify. If someone is feeling lost, feeling confused, feeling angry, having a hard time controlling their thoughts and emotions, they're being real reactive to things in their life. Perhaps you're looking for love, you know the wrong place is looking for nub. I know I was. Yeah, I said looking for nub. Who knows that one? Where did I get it? Come on now. A little SNL for you. Trivia. I'm hurt and I'm confused. No comment. Sometimes I just bust out in weird characters. You're just gonna have to go with it and flow with me. Things that I've experienced in this world hasn't made me quite right, and I've whoop whoop whoop. I have a few little whoop whoops in the whoop 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 and the whoop whoop. It's just not whoop whoop quite right in the head. But thank you for sticking with me. This will get interesting. Just hold tight. Whoop whoop. I will burn myself. I ain't gonna move. Ah! It's fake, guys. It's fake. It's not real. Look. It's fake. And, ooh! Now, this actually has a heater, but this is not hot right here. I know you guys are looking at all the fire and stuff, and this is fake. See? It's not really burning me. I know you guys are worried about me. I'm in an RV with all the flames and the fire. Is he going to burn himself up? Let's watch that. Sickos. Okay, here we go. It all started back when I was this little womb, in the womb with this little embryo. Okay, we're not going to go back that far, but pretty darn close. I'm going to give you a little backlog before I start my journey about my parents. And a quick disclaimer here. Everything that we're talking about, or I'm talking about in this episode, is my experience, how I viewed and interpreted things in my life, how I heard things and the stories that were told that seemed to make an impact along my journey. Subject to be wrong. You know how it goes. You tell one person this person tells another version of it, you know. So I'm not here to cause offense, especially anyone in my family, friends, past relationships. This is not my outcome. I know I have finally learned not to repeat certain behaviors that have, well, you'll hear here shortly, but I've been able to stop a cycle finally. 50 years old here in April. It's May, or what the heck is this, March? Yeah, and shoot, in 2 weeks I'm going to be 50. Anyways, you're just a kid. Shut up. Well then, tell me how you really feel. Okay. Backlog on the parents. So my dad, Filipino Japanese, my mom, grandma, Filipino Japanese. Go figure. They are overseas, and it's wrapping up World War II. Grandma meets a Navy guy, Harry Hilton. They have a whirlwind romantic thing, from what I understand, and bam, Papa San is born. At 5 years old, they come over to the United States, my grandmother and my dad. And poor dad cannot speak a lick of English. In San Francisco, where we've had Japanese camps, prison camps, and here's this little boy that can't speak English, only Japanese. That was a disaster. I love my grandma, and I know she wanted to have a better life over here, but ooh, the timing. Anyhow, so dad on right off the gate, off the boat, is getting his butt whooped, just picked on and bullied. You know, just the racial hate was horrible back then. That's my dad fighting. That's been his life from the gate. He had. He said that what were the Jeffersons? I can't remember the name. It was this. They said there was this African American family. Back then, they said different things. I don't know what's politically correct. Anyways, it was a family. How about we just do that? That taught him what was called pump foot. I don't know. Anyways, and he was pretty good. He was a good fighter. I know that. I've seen him personally fight. He went into the military. And became a Green Beret, so that didn't help his ego. And here's a weird thing about Dad's temper and anger and always fighting, and that's a thing. He would proudly, on his deathbed, said, "You love me, or you hate me," and just there's that level of pride there with him. He'll never back down from nothing. That's just, he's going out that way. He's made it clear. God bless him. And I had a hard time understanding why Dad always went from 0 to faster than that. So I wasn't supposed to be born. My dad and my mom and my Uncle Johnny and someone else got into a pretty bad car accident, and Dad was pronounced dead until Uncle Johnny said, "Not today, Satan," and jumped into the ER room, from what I understand, and started performing CPR and got a pulse. That's the story I heard. My Aunt Linda may have a different version of it. She was there, I think. Anyways. Wow. So from this accident, the medulla oblongata, I don't know if I'm saying that, the alligator syndrome, 0 to pissed off. It was a biological thing caused from the accident. Because Dad, I got it light compared to me and my sister. Dad, when he wanted you to obey, grabbed the back of my hair, ripped me down like this, and talked to his teeth. "You're gonna listen!" real intense energy with this guy. Real intense. A lot of fear, obviously, and um, so yeah, that's dad. Growing up with dad. Now, I'm not saying he was all bad. I mean, I'm not saying that at all. He ended up doing some pretty cool stuff. Um, we can talk about that down the road. But as far as showing up as a parent and showing and teaching good instructions and love and gentleness and meekness and long suffering and kindness and tolerance and just judgment, things like that, I didn't get raised with. He sure in the heck didn't know any of that. He ruled his life with his fist and foot. Pump foot. Pump your foot. That's what my mom would always say. Anyways. This is some good tea. I like it. Okay. My mom, God bless her. She's 80. She survived this long. I'm sure she's in bed right now going, why? This poor thing. Her parents abused the heck out of her. I've heard stories of throwing up on a hot griddle to locking her in a closet without food and water on days on end. Just mental, emotional, and there was sexual abuse there as well. Yeah, so let these two have me and see what happens. Roll the dice. So here's some of the stories. I don't have a whole lot of memories in it. I was too young, 2 years old, 3 years old. There are a few memories I have, not good ones, unfortunately. A couple fond memories, more of a vibe and feeling. So my mom, looking for love in all the wrong places, 3 or 4 marriages, a bunch of kids from each one. It's just, yeah, a mixed bag of nuts. That's all of us. Mom went through a pretty big phase with the drug scene, and hiding and trying to self-soothe all of her pain through what I ended up doing as an adult, youngster. Doing the best she could with what she had and just being reactive to her thoughts and emotions, running out of fear and abandonment issues and abuse and wanting to be loved, needed, and wanted and accepted. And she took hostages in her relationships with different men. And you know, we've talked a lot over the years, and you know, back in the 60s, 70s, all that stuff, there was no mental illness awareness, no healing programs, no Kaiser to go to this program, that program, and I heard they suck. I don't know. I never had them, so I'm not talking smack. But yeah, no, they didn't have any diagnosis for, you know, depression, schizophrenia, borderline personality split disorder, this, that, and I mean, the list goes on. And yeah, mom, yeah, definitely hits the nail on some of those mental illnesses. And yeah, I don't blame her. Holy cow, the things that she survived. So mom's not around a lot. I have 4 sisters, and there's me. I'm the baby boy, the only boy, and the baby, not the mama. Anyways, so I have a few memories, a few vibes, and the stories to match, where the sisters were in a circle and the baby boy's learning to walk and going to each sister. Even my sister Patty, yeah, she was 12 years old, telling me how she gave me a margarita. I don't know because I was hyper or what the hotel bill, but she thought it was a good idea to give me alcohol. And where she got the alcohol at 12, well, that's mom's parenting. So I have this connection with these women. Didn't know they were my sister, but here they are. This is what's happening. And all of a sudden, Debbie's gone, Elaine's gone, Patty's gone, Mom's gone, because my dad was in the military, and during that time, my mom had another man in the house. That was my first physical and sexual abuse that happened through this man. The nosy Rosie, the next door neighbor, got word to my dad in the Army, and it's the best parenting thing that my dad has ever done is, one, at least physically been there and make sure I had a roof over my head and food, and I give him honor for that. Absolutely. So yes, he comes home, Mom's kicked out, this guy has a contract put out on him, and supposedly it's never been heard of again. So if someone sees this, oh, Terry's the one that killed this guy, he's 80 now, standing on his deathbed, good luck prosecuting that. He's going to give you 2 fingers up and a smile with it anyways. That's just how he is. That's how he rolls. So Dad's reestablishing life outside the military and didn't know it. I mean, I learned later that that was one of his big regrets, is having to leave the military, because he was climbing up the success ladder there. Could have been this and that and the other thing, but you know what? He did the right thing, because we were not safe. Yeah, the sisters left because the different relationships Mom brought in, they'll end up abusing them physically and sexually. And to this day, my oldest sister can't have any contact. It's part of her healing process, from what I understand, and to protect herself, she hasn't talked to Mom in decades. I understand. I get it. Dad's getting things established back out of the Army, and we have a babysitter, and long story short, Dad marries the babysitter. And I'm being told this is my mom. And okay, I'm getting conflicting feelings and thoughts, and also verbal from my sister Cindy saying, no, that's not true. And she'd get physically hit and yelled at for trying to tell me the truth and stand up for our biological mom. All right, so blessed be her memory, Marlene. She's passed on now, but this relationship as a mother figure, things are obviously very confusing for me. A lot of abandonment has happened. A lot of physical stuff has already happened, like we mentioned. She takes me to this little church on 7th Street in Santa Rosa, known as the Church of Acts back in that time. I do not, in this series and at all, do not advocate nor tolerate any negative comments about any denomination, about any way that a person walks out their faith. If you feel like they're in error, pull them off to the side and do your thing, but not here, not in the comments, none of that. We're all doing the best with what we have, with what information we're given, with what light of understanding is being revealed to us, and love each other in the process. Let our actions and how we demonstrate with one another according to what's written, let that light come out versus our carnality, and see what God does in making a difference in that person's life. In the next episode with my next guest, he's going to go over in detail about why it's important to not treat each other like animals because they don't think or feel or believe the way you do. It's going to be an exciting episode. I'm looking forward to having you watch that one. All right, so this vibe at this church, it didn't freak me out, but there are people running around the building inside, shouting, joying, crying, on the floor, weeping, pouring their heart out, laughing, clapping, singing. I mean, just this atmosphere, and it was all to draw closer to what I was told was this character named Jesus, God. Okay, I just like the energy and vibe and that's going on in there. It was touch and go. We didn't go there all the time. My dad's mom, Grandma Josephine, she also had her little Pentecostal church up in Windsor, across the street from Roly Poly's. That used to be a little shop where I used to, as a kid, always get my Coke and candies. Grandpa would let me walk on his back and give me a couple bucks, and I walk up the railroad tracks and get all the sugar I can get, baby. Woohoo! Oh, good times. Times of playing in the creek, things were simpler. Yes, crawdad fishing. I loved it. Pollywog hunting, frog hunting. Them good times. Them more good times. Yeah. Same experience at Grandma's church. People weeping, crying, jumping, hollering, shouting, the whole 9 yards. And I just dug it. Looking back in hindsight, why it didn't freak me out, that the spirit of the universe was like, I'm having you here. I'm sowing seeds in you right now because you've already gone through hell. You've suffered more than I would want you to. And I got to say this, guys, that through it all, through the physical abuse, the mental, Abba said, you know what? He was holding me in his arms, guarding my mind, telling me you're not alone. There are dark, satanic, horrible dark vibes out here trying to kill me and hurt me through you. I got a plan. They're not going to succeed. They're not going to win. I need you to be strong. Keep moving forward. Don't take your life. Don't give up. I can't reveal to you everything right now. It'll be too much. That's my belief. Because my higher power, my God, Jehovah, through Yeshua, is love and kindness endures forever. It is pure and righteous. It is undefiled, faithful, so faithful. We'll get to more of that later. Absolutely. All right. So, so we have our first 2 church experiences, and God let me know that He's there, He's real, and going to be with me on this journey. So I'm 7 years old now. Something new started happening. I'm going every other weekend to my biological mom's. Life is really different. Dad's and my stepmom's, and going over to Grandma's to my biological mom's. I had free range, free willy. I can go anywhere, do anything. I can fly high. It's twice as high. I got nothing. No, seriously, it was like most people, and the street lights turn on, get your butt inside the house. My mom, I don't think, knew they had street lights at all. But I come and go when I wanted. Didn't matter who I was with. And then my second sexual abuse happened at 7. Oh my goodness. Things apparently turned into hell in a handbasket between my stepmom and dad. I come home one day, my dad's reading the letter, crying, and says, she left us. Us? You. Anyway, nothing mentioned about me in the letter, no talking to me beforehand, nothing. She's just gone. So there's a pattern with women that I love and care about just up and leaving. And, any child psychologist would, tell you, kids tend to take that on their own, that they did something wrong, they're bad, they did something to deserve being left. So yeah, those were voices and stories from an early age started building up. I wasn't lovable, wasn't wanted. Yeah. Fast forward, 12 years old comes upon me. My third sexual abuse happens by the same person, not the first time, but and I'm 12 years old. I didn't know it, but subliminally and physically, that attention equaled being loved, needed, and wanted. Didn't understand it, but I took that into my first relationships and all my relationships. And, it's something when hurt, injured people go out and find hurt in other injured people, nothing good comes out of it. Like-minded finds like-minded out there. So my dad, after Marlene left, is never around. He's busy building his own kingdom, trying to find me another mom. I swear this guy, I can't even count on two hands how many relationships he's had, and at least half of them, 5 of them for sure, he's tried to make them mom. Just that didn't work. Just didn't work. Not for me. Nope, it didn't work. My goodness. So I ended up taking off and running away from dad to go live with my biological mom. Now this was now just a couple years back. Again at 7, I got to share something with you. So my mom has a waterbed at the time, and I love going on there and just waiting for mom to go, "Stop rocking the boat," and I would laugh. So anyway, so I wanted to go in a room and rock the boat, and there's this big cloud of smoke. My sister Cindy is, "Get him out of here! Get him out of here! Dad's gonna kill you! Get him out of here!" And for the first time, I don't know, it was a distorted, weird light, but it was a light bulb that went off on her in her head, because she took the joint and leant back and said, "You know what? Rather him be here with me. I can explain to him what it is. I know what he's smoking. I know it'll be safe." And all these rationalizations to sit down and smoke pot with my sister and mom for the first time at 7. Woohoo! Now, guys, I wish I could remember exactly what the whole thing was like, but here was the vibe. I remember I remember my mom walking into the kitchen as I'm taking Wonder Bread, a piece of white bread, like 2, 3, 4 slices, and pouring white processed sugar on it and just eating it. And her just shaking her head at me like, "There's nothing I can do about it." And Saturday morning cartoons were epic. I mean, the Justice League, Wonder Twin Powers activating. I mean, Scooby-Doo. Dude, you know they were stoners. I don't care what you say. Give me a Scooby snack back then. I wanted one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so 12-year-old couple, I hit 12, and again at mom's, free range chicken, going anywhere and everywhere I wanted. I meet some friends, and my goodness, at 12 years old, we're being sexually curious with each other, and because of my experiences, I end up being because of those experiences, I end up being the one that instigated a few of them, out of ignorance, of course, but. So I'm walking along the street and I see a cassette tape on the ground. This changes my world forever. I take it to my sister Cindy and I go, "What is this?" She looks at it and says, oh, that's AC/DC Back in Black. Puts it on. She says, you're going to like it. I flipping loved it. Are you kidding? I go to my first AC/DC concert out of 5. The 80s and 90s rock concert scene, I just lived for. Oh my goodness, party after party, concert after concert. And in Sonoma County, we had these really cool places that were thriving back in the day, the River Theater and the Phoenix. Oh my goodness, the people that we saw and the people I got to party with and stuff back then was just unbelievable. You know, Megadeth and Metallica, Primus, the list goes on. Oh my goodness. It was crazy times back then. Oh my goodness. I started getting involved in relationships at 16. 15, had this relationship where we get pregnant. So this still to this day is a very emotional topic. A certain parenting establishment by the Santa Rosa Police Department, one of the counselors there put all this fear about how we were going to ruin our lives and the child's life if we had it, blah, blah, blah. And I was convinced, and we went through that with that. I mean, they try to put on some music to make it like not so traumatizing, but I still to this day remember that fetus going through the tube. Again, this is my experience. Some people don't have a problem with that. I do. I never repeated that choice again. And several other pregnancies have followed in different relationships from that one. Second pregnancy, lady I was dating, we planned, we knew we were gonna have a baby. We got the crib and names. Leah was gonna be her name. And at 7 months, we found out she had anencephaly and wasn't gonna make it outside the womb. First time I watched death pass by, the second time I felt her last heartbeat in my hand. I've picked up a pattern like my dad, having a bunch of failed relationships, one after another, not really taking a break, just taking hostages. So, again, 80s and 90s, a lot of partying, a lot of LSD and mushrooms and alcohol and this and that and the other thing. And needless to say, I get pretty lost. I get pretty desperate. I got a lot of wounds that I don't know what to do with. I started going to seminars. My first one was Zig Ziglar, and then there was Les Brown, and then there was Tony Robbins, and oh my goodness, I became a seminar junkie. Loved it. I was getting healing for the first time. And I met this cat named Bert Fazell. He's passed on, blessed be his memory. He was my first sponsor in a 12-step program. He was help facilitating this seminar I was going to called Choices for Change. And he heard my story and what I was going through, and he invited me to this 12-step program, and I spent 9 years there, guys. Had a blast. I learned a lot, more healing happened, gained a lot of knowledge, spiritual principles, which were great. They served a great purpose for a long time. Not that they don't at all. My walk with the Creator versus just spiritual principles are way different, and it has to be that way for me. I cannot comfortably be in a 12-step meeting anymore without saying, hey, Yeshua, he's the only one true living God that truly brings healing and restoration and deliverance. I've been there where people have mentioned just the word Jesus, and half of the meeting got up and the other half of the meeting took turns, letting people know it's a God of your own understanding. You don't, just like trying to water that whole thing down. And it's sad. So yeah, that's a thing. But it helped, it kept me alive for a long time. There was a lot of loving, kind, caring people that lay their lives down to help you stay clean and sober. And so I say nothing wrong about 12-step fellowships. It's just, for me, I need to have free range chicken to talk about the God I love and what's happening in that relationship. Anyways, so in this fellowship, again, my pattern that I learned from Dad is take hostages, and this newcomer with 3 days, Sean, off of heroin. Someone called me Captain Save-A-Ho. Sorry, that's not okay. No, I took on a project. I look back in hindsight, and again, I was puffed up full of knowledge. I had 5+ years in the program after all. I was an old timer. We get pregnant, and during a before we get pregnant, with the relationship on and off, we both are with someone else, and then we get back together. She finds out and meets the person and decides to take vengeance. Convinces me to move out to Ohio, where we were going to have a house that her mom was going to help us get on our feet and I get out there, I get a job, and bam, you need to go. I don't know where you're going, I don't care, but you need to go and figure things out. I know nobody. I don't even have my first paycheck. I've never been out in Ohio. I don't know what to do. So my dad gets me home, gets me a flight home. I desperately want to be in this child's life. I have gone through hell with kids, and I was not going to let this dog lie. And for 3.5 years, I didn't know if she was alive or dead, my daughter. I went through multiple breakdowns. My ex-wife, God bless her, at the time, she would just, I'd come home, drop everything and myself to the floor and go into like a comfortable, numb, crying fit. It was so horrible. But I did finally found her and got custody, and it was ugly, guys. Drugs and alcohol were in the scene, and as soon as I knew that, I filed for full custody and had the attorney, and in my mind's eye, I was protecting my daughter from this. Looking back in hindsight, and I did verbally, in person, apologize to my oldest daughter for this, but there was no room for mercy. If drugs and alcohol or unsafe behavior was a threat to my daughter, gone until you got it fixed. And when it was fixed, I shared 50-50 custody. I'm not about trying to prevent somebody having a relationship with a kid. I know what that's like. It sucked. So I meet a woman that I just fell head over heels. We connected, we vibed together. She was the one. And she had over a year in the program. Oh, she was an old timer. She was 18. I think I was 24 or something like that. And we started on an adventure together that, to me, was amazing. I told her right off the gate, I have a kid I'm looking for, and I'm not going to stop, and she will be in my life at some point. And that was something that was very attractive to her, and an amazing quality, and that drew her closer to me, and she signed up. Said, okay. So this love of my life and I, we got married. This is it. I finally have someone that's going to be in my life till death do us part. And shortly after that, as soon as we got married, we got pregnant with my youngest. And wow, how healing was that, from not being able to be there for my oldest daughter's birth, and that 3.5 years of hell. This beautiful woman, all the first, to cutting her cord, Maddie's cord, to her first bath. Oh man, it was just amazing, so healing. And then my niece Kelly, been a part of this story, knows what was going on with Shelby, and she asked me, "Did you ever file a police report?" I'm like, "The heck am I?" Last I knew, she was in Galveston, Texas, and thank God a friend of mine tipped me off, because he couldn't stand what was going on with that situation. So Santa Rosa filing a police report, what good is that going to do? But I was desperate. If there was any hope, even if it was just a paper trail, that I tried. So I did, and the SRPD officer that came, his brother had just gone through what I had been going through. And he's like, "I got you, brother." And he just ran the name of the mother, I'll leave her anonymous for now, and found him up in Oroville. Immediately get an attorney and get papers filed, because she's a flight risk. So one of my sisters, unfortunately she's passed, but went up there and served her, and everything changed. Unfortunately, the drugs and alcohol was still very much of a picture at that time, and this poor girl didn't know me from Adam. Even she was told that I'm dad for the first time, and I'm having to take her full time. It was traumatizing for everybody, especially for my daughter. In 2002 hits. I get hit with fibromyalgia, as the U.S. San Francisco Pain Management Clinic diagnosed me with. I started getting these horrible chest pains. I started losing my body and being able to use it. And I used to do martial arts. I was really good in tournaments. I was working out. This guy named LP, Lawrence Phillip, man, he was an amazing trainer at Gold's Fitness Gym, or whatever it was there on 5th Street at the time. And then bam, I'm struck down, and I spend the next 12 years in and out of an electric wheelchair, a cane. So again, God shows up. My sister Patty was going to this Seventh-day Adventist church and invited me to come to that church, and whatever, I hadn't spent much time with my sister anyways, and see what this is about. Nothing hit, nothing stuck for me. And then my stepmom Marlene, she comes back into my life. Rewind. I just begged her not to get close to my daughters and leave. I didn't know that my stepmom had mental illnesses, and she would get overwhelmed and have to go into a cave and block everyone out, and that's just how she handled life. Um, so that ended up happening to my daughters, and her getting close to them as grandma love, and then just, yeah, so that was very upsetting. But anyways, so she guilt trips me. I heard you went to Patty's church. You need to come to mine. So I did, and my first church experience, the Church of Acts on 7th Street, is now on Lombardy Court under a new pastoralship, Ron Sharp at the time. And there was this service in the evening. This couple from India, an atmosphere was created, the lights were low, there was some beautiful music. I believe the gentleman was playing like a guitar or something, and she was just giving her testimony. And I can't explain it to y'all, but this overwhelming presence just hit from head to toe, and I started weeping. And I knew God was talking to me, and again, I hadn't been abandoned, I hadn't been forsaken, I hadn't been forgotten about, and the journey wasn't over yet. We spent 9 years there, and you know what? Oh my goodness! To me, it was the best 9 years of my life with my family. We did everything together. I mean, the girls had both mom and dad all the time. To me, that was such a miracle. I didn't get that growing up. My girls to me, seemed to be such a blessed life. Yeah, that I couldn't work and make all kinds of money and go on vacations and all this other stuff that people do, but they had us fully there. Going to parks all the time and going to theme parks and rides and oceans, and I mean, we were every Pixar Disney movie you can think of. We in Barbie and Barney. Yes, Barney. I survived it. We hung out and watched it with the girls. You know, board games. Oh, it was a beautiful time. In my experience. Looking back in hindsight, I didn't realize though that I needed to try harder. Take massive action on my health and not just surrender to what was happening to me. Lori Rule, this friend of ours in the church at the time, she was a health instructor, health nut food-wise, and introduced me to quinoa and veggies. And I lost a bunch of weight, was able to stay out of the chair. I mean, at one point, I really believed that it was a total, complete healing. I remember trotting around myself, doing a lap around the sanctuary, praising God. But with fibromyalgia, I've had to learn the hard way. If you don't maintain good eating habits, the flare-ups hit you down and knock you right back down. So this became a pattern, and I couldn't overcome the food addictions. Dang it, hiding Twinkies and other dysfunctional stuff in the garage and not letting anyone know about it. Yeah, it was a thing. In the 12-step world, you know, when you give up the drugs and alcohol, 2 things follow right away, and that's food and sex. You know I ain't lying. You know I ain't lying. I was married, so I had the latter part covered. But the food, oh my goodness, I just was unchecked with that for a long time. Long story short, I back then didn't see it coming, but Michelle was miserable. She was wanting a complete long-term healing and to get on with our lives, to meet expectations that she wanted to meet. Her parents, she always said she always felt like the black sheep of the family. You know, her sister had the cop boyfriend. She had the teaching degree and the house and the kids, and And here she is with a disabled husband, always feeling less than and unwanted and unaccepted by her family. This is things that she told me. This is not just psychobabble. So I come home one day and she says, I want a divorce. You have 3 days to get out. And 2 years prior to that, my oldest decides to leave the family and go live with her biological mom in a drug treatment center, being a newcomer in an all-women's shelter. And that was a choice other than staying with us. I didn't understand it. My wife at the time convinced me to let her go. You'll just make it worse, blah, 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 because I was standing up. I will go to court again. You're not leaving. I was, no. But I let go and allowed that to happen. And some more abandonment by women I loved that I never thought I would be without. I wish I could say that after all that I buried my face into the ground, seeking God's face, seeking for healing, seeking for change, wherever sins, transgressions, and iniquities that have harmed my family, that I was in full teshuva with, but I don't know, I went in survival mode and old behavior. The obsessive compulsive behavior came in again and went off the rails with the alcohol again. And then my first roommate situation. I again, maybe getting counseling and staying single for a while and healing after this traumatic thing, right? 18 years together. 18 years. 3 days, gone. And then 4 months later, in another relationship with another woman. And I'm like, what? What? I lose it, and I took an horrible advice from Bo, an old roommate. You were with one person for 18 years? Oh my goodness, dude. No, you need to get on this app called Tinder and get back out there. Get on the horse again. Oh, oh no! Sorry, that was loud. Oh, it was at that moment he knew he's up. After a few, so yeah, I somehow found like spiritual sick people that had other illnesses, mental illnesses that I found out I was not strong enough for, and there were young kids involved when that relationship fell apart. I ran. I found out this person was having other sexual relationships and playing mind games with me. I felt like I was going insane. Shoot, I thought for a minute I had the same mental disorder that she had, and I was losing it. And I took all my stuff when they were out of town and just left. I feel so bad because those girls trusted me. They liked me, and I liked them, but I could not. And I've went into a succession of really dysfunctional relationships, and thank God no more pregnancies. I got a vasectomy, by the way, a long time ago, so that wasn't going to be a thing. TMI. I need to back up, because here's something that's pretty profound in my experience. So 9 years at the Promise Center. They changed it from the Church of Act to the Promise Center, TPC. And during one of my flare-ups, during the winter time, winters are always hard to get out and about, and I'm So instead of being able to go to a church service, I'm watching teachings and preachings on YouTube. And I don't know how it came up on the side here on the YouTube of other things you might want to watch. But I look over and I see this Feast of the Lord by Michael Rood. I'm like, what the heck is this? I click on it, and guys, that changed my life forever. Holy cow. I learned about Shabbat, Sabbath, and about Passover and unleavened bread and all these wonderful, wonderful, beautiful pictures and attributes of the Creator. Just amazing. I have 9 years over here where I was on the praise team playing guitar. I did Bible studies, small groups. I did drug and alcohol ministry. I went to the Sonoma County Jail and ministered and taught Bible studies there. Went into drug treatment centers. Very, very heavily involved in wanting to do good and help others. Here's the thing though, guys, when American Online Internet came out, I got trapped into pornography. That demon caused so much guilt, condemnation, and shame. Because how could I be going to church and watch this? How can I be in ministry and not stop watching this? How can I go to feast, Shabbat keeping services, people that are way more set apart than I'd ever experienced in the church environment, and still not be able to break that addiction? There's something wrong with me. I mean, biologically, I knew I had the disease of addiction, alcoholism, and but this sexual thing, I gone through different counselors and seminars and what have you, and men's wisdom, revealed to me that, well, yeah, your body learned at 2 years old, Sean, and multiple times growing up. This is not anything to be shocked about. But when you have a head full of program, spiritual principles, a head full of this starting out, and then really get a head full of this when you start learning about the feasts and Shabbat, all this stuff here, a lot of time. So there were times I literally I had poured some bleach on the floor to make it, I was going to say I slipped into it and bleach got in my eyes. I was going to blind myself at one point. Definitely was on the verge of having, I had the plan of the bottle of narcotic pills, for my pain flare-ups with the Norcos. I was going to get a fifth, a sleeping bag, and just go find a cove at the ocean and fall asleep. I was done. I can't done. Done with this life, done with the abuse, done with the betrayals, done with my behavior and how I was showing up in the world. The last relationship over a year ago, almost a year and a half, I hurt this woman with her children. Again, trusting me, had me move in. And I had this interaction with this girl I was dating with where she pulled back and then I pulled back. And I even pulled back even harder and went back on Tinder to find someone that wasn't going to pull back from me. I was getting this vibe of being abandoned and betrayed, so I'm out. I didn't move out first, didn't have that discussion. Like an idiot. I knew what I was doing was wrong, and this girl I started dating, who was a cop, I told her, man, I had a moment of clarity and a guilt trip and a conscience. And I said, I can't do this to you. I can't do this to this woman I'm living with. This is not okay. This is not who I am. She's, yes, that is who you are. And I just, but, so I'm sitting on the couch, and this lady I'm dating comes in and has this letter in her hand, says, get your stuff and go. And I got a real huge impression, message, vibe from the Creator that, Sean, you cannot claim my name anymore. You can't. You're not allowed to speak my name and live the way you're living. That's what we call blaspheming my name. You cannot take my name and make it no effect through your behavior and actions. You cannot act this way where people are saying, that's the God you serve, that's what you believe, and this is how you behave, want nothing to do with it. But there's a huge problem in my path here. I've left this out. This is the big one. I'm gonna rewind. So a few years pass after the divorce. I decide I want to do stand-up comedy. I started going to shows, and I'm watching them, and I think I'm funny. I have a good time with myself. And what? Yes. Anyways, I start doing open mics, and before I know it, I'm doing gigs. I'm performing in San Francisco and throughout the Bay Area, and I even got a few paid gigs. It was exciting. And then I met this woman. We're still good friends, and we started dating. And she's an actress, and she invites me on set for the short film that she's doing in Santa Cruz. And I'm watching the whole thing, the cameramans, the PAs, the actors, and they're having a blast, and I'm like, I want to do this. I can do this. Let's do it. And so I said, all right, Saskia, what do we do? What are you doing? She said, all right, backstage, my casting file and FS casting. We're going to get you a profile. And my rabbi, Jeff, does the photography for my headshots and what have you. Guys, right off the gate, I'm getting booked for gigs. I'm getting cop roles, dad roles. I spend all of season 4 for 13 Reasons Why, a Netflix special there. I got featured a bunch of times there. And then I got to be in some other short films and start producing my own short films. I took up photography. I started working with beautiful models, guys, throughout the Bay Area. I mean, just jaw-dropping, beautiful women. And this did not help the lust of the eye problem that I was having with and suffering my whole life. Did I just say that, lust of the eye? I did, because that's a movie I made called Lust of the Eye. Now, mind you, as I know I'm walking away from God and anything that has to do with it, because I'm a piece of and I've been, God doesn't want me, and it came to a head multiple times where I felt abandoned, that if God was real and it was who he said he was, he would have healed me and on all levels, especially with the tormenting ones, at least with the pornography and sexual addiction and the bad relationships. The last bout I had with that, guys, having that feeling, I literally took this Bible and I threw it as hard as I could across the room. I was so mad. How dare you? I mean, pride and arrogance was lifted up so bad in me, guys. I don't know why. I mean, just because of steadfast love, loving kindness, and mercy that endures forever, that is pure and clean and righteous altogether. Saul passed the dark attributes flowing in and out of my body. Saw past the traumas and me being reactive to them, and how the dark energy and the Satans of this world influence my mind and thoughts, trying to get me to react physically, emotionally. Saw past that. And saw this moment with you guys here. So with all that said, and I'm sure I left something out, but the bottom line is, guys, I've come to a place where I know that, yes, Yeshua, Yehovah, exists, is real. I know it. Not just because I have a head full of knowledge and I can go through this thing with you guys, and you want to talk about Shabbat, you want to talk about the feast, you want to talk about the lost sheep, you want to talk about other gods in here, all that stuff, we can do that. But it's finally sunk from here to here. One of the things that the message I've got here, guys, because of my past, because of the traumas, because of the physical addictions, I must abide in the vine. Not part of the time, not some of the time. I have to search out and seek every word of God like my life depends on it, because it does. So, all the movies and comedies and photography things done, and some of you know me from the creator for Funny's Not Dead, FND. I worked hard on this series. We're interviewing actors and comics and people in the industry like I was, and pulling out the best out of them, and to encourage others that are getting in their line of the field in the business. Man, I got to meet and work with some amazing people to show up on that show, and I got 2 other production companies involved, and financial backing $10,000 an episode, $100,000 up front. And guys, because I know that if I do that, I'm only going to be pulled farther and farther away, drawn away, and enticed back to behaviors that only cause me guilt, condemnation, and shame, pain, suffering, and I'll end up hurting other people. And you don't deserve that. They don't deserve that. You didn't deserve that, and I'm sorry. So what does abiding look like? What does Sean living by every word look like? So that I don't repeat history. I can't go back. I won't. I'm in an RV. We're doing this series together, Blood Testimonies. I am surrounding myself with people that are sharing their experience, strength, and hope on how to walk this thing out in love, in truth, where their lives and other people's lives are changing. You're going to see those interviews. Also, this is going to be a nonprofit. Tithes and offering are meant for the fatherless, the poor, and the widows. When there was a temple, money went to the temple services and upkeeps, and to the Levites for their services. But the Torah says that, if you're not in the land, and there's no temple and no priesthood and stuff, you can't collect tithes and offering. No synagogue does. They have membership fees. I think, if I'm pronouncing it right, it's a tzaddik box. I'm not saying that right. A righteous box that you can donate money into, but they will never collect tithes and offering. The fear of God is upon their head. They know better. Now, I live right now in Santa Rosa, California. I've been here most of my life. And 2023, I have never seen the homeless and mental disabilities and the pain and suffering out on our streets than ever before. It's bad. And this is just Santa Rosa. You in your own town, I'm sure you have your challenges with the homeless population. So my rabbi says, you know what? Don't just go feed and clothe someone and say, be filled and be warmed and send them on their way. No, this says here to go share the light with somebody. Share the word that brings healing and restoration, that takes away the guilt, the condemnation, the shame, the hopelessness, the doubts, and the fears, and the torment. Delivers us from that so that we can be free and free indeed. And that through this freedom, we can be of service to one another and not be so concerned about how we got to show up in this world with the paychecks and the status of succeeding at this or succeeding at that. It's all vain for me, guys. It's become vain. It's just led to one heartache after another. And I don't want to live that. I don't want to show up and be that guy anymore. So I've had several experiences, man, where just I've went and introduced myself to a couple homeless people and just sat down with them and talked. And I shared about what this next episode, Grandpa Stankin's going to share with you about the dark energy that has trapped me most of my life, and how I finally have freedom with it, because I've learned if I take every thought captive to Yeshua, to my Savior, that filter, if anything that is unholy, unclean, that is not edifying and pure and of a good report, if it anything outside of love, gotta go, burn it, gone. And it works. I've created an environment for success. I've got this RV, and I've been pouring a lot of money into her. My nephew Shane Seabold, he's been doing an amazing job. I put the wall, the rocks in here layer by layer. It took a long time, but he built the wall behind it, and you can't see it now, but he's putting in new flooring. I got the motor all up and running. We're gonna go visit places and be of service where we can. I want to help the FPWs, the fatherless, the poor, and the widows, the FPWs. It's time that we take the church out of buildings where all the time and attention and resources and funds are going towards lights and stages and cameras and this program and that program and keeping up with the PG&E bill and the water bill and all the stuff and all the paper printouts. And when I'm on in San Francisco on the Matrix set, and a guy around the corner, where's our priorities? Where's the love and care for our fellow mankind? Do we really need? I don't need that extra thing. I don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to build my own kingdom for a series. I know now, being in the business, what it costs just to do a short film. A no-budget film is like $1 million, or it's just ridiculous. And I'm not shaming or saying anything bad about anyone that is in the business. This is my experience. Here's the strength and hope that's come out of it. That if Sean doesn't do the will of God, he's going to kill himself and hurt others. And that's not okay. That's not a way to live. So the PFWs, man, this nonprofit, I want to be able to go to places that keep the word of God during feast, the Moedims, the Passovers and all that stuff. You don't know about that in Shabbat, Sabbath. It's time to learn, guys. It's time to know who your Creator is. And every facet, don't just stand in front of one gate of the temple, but walk around the whole thing and see what you can experience and see. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. I need your guys' support. I would love to be able to show up at one of the feast sites and someone says, you know what, I can't pay my rent and it's just me and my kid. We got you. I can't get to work. My car's broke down. We got you. You know, I got cut off from this program and I can't feed me or my kid. We got you. See the need and feel the need. And as well, share the whole word of Devarim Elohim to people. And sow those seeds and watch what the Creator does in our lives. It's going to be an amazing journey, and I'm so excited that you're here with me to go on it, guys. So I've poured out my wholeness out there, and I hope that you're not sitting back going, dang, that's who he was, that's who he is. Woo, I'm glad I didn't, oh man, I don't want to know him. Unfriend, got to do what you got to do. But we can change, we can make a difference. Through the love of the Creator, all things are possible. Through the name of Yeshua, the name above all names, depression, anger, hate, resentments, guilt, condemnation, and shame, all these things can be put to bed and done away with. On my phones, I want to give a shout out. I'm not being sponsored by them, but Covenant Eyes. It's a porn blocking website. It's installed on all my devices. They do screenshots when I'm on the devices. Of course, block anything that if a demon came in and said, I want to watch this, nope, denied. And on top of all that, another layer of accountability is my rabbi, Jeff. He gets weekly reports of my activities. So, yeah, I'm done. There are certain things that you got to make a stand within yourself and say, it's over, it's finished. So that's been finished. I've gotten delivered, and now it's my job to stay delivered. Just like my health and my food, I know that with this disease in this body, in this mind, if I eat crap too much and too often, I'm going to feel that. Everybody knows that. The same thing with my spirit. The eyes and ears, the eyes are the window to the souls. What I bring in here affects me physically and mentally too. And I have to set myself up for success if I want to stay delivered, if I don't want to go back. Because I sit back and I think about how many times, I had years away from drugs and alcohol, and I have a relapse. And that happened multiple times. The pornography addiction. How can it do that? And I can't break it. I can't, but Yeshua can. And how, again, to stay delivered is abiding in Him and what He says to do. Abba has given us loving instructions, and I have to abide by them aggressively. The things in my past, man, the enemy knows how to get into my mind, create thoughts, and get me to react out of emotional stuff or physiology stuff. You're done. You're done. You're done. So thank you for your support. Thank you for not judging me and trying to throw me off a cliff after this episode. Ben Yochanan. God bless you. Look forward to riding out the rest of this journey with you. We have some special guests coming up here soon. Stay tuned.